It is just as we all theorized. Poor Suka is all alone in this third Stone Age. And how will she find more revival formula? I don't know. It's a very heartbreaking chapter. But luckily, the chapter does not end with despair, it ends with hope. The only hope being that despite the heartbreak, Suka still will move forward and find a solution in all of this. Yes, it's me, the angry and offended despair reviewer, although I'm mostly just review even zero, but today I decided to give you all Dr. Stone because, well, it's Golden Week, and this chapter is kind of important. As the time passes, although we do not know exactly how long it has passed, we see that grass has been growing very big and even covering the statues, implying that it's been for a very long time. And we also find out in the end on how the revival fluid will fall on Suka by placing the microphone near thing, whatever if it's a leopard or even later on a thunder, it will fall, it will break and fall on Suka. Also elsewhere, her pet dog Chalk still remembers her. But the biggest question is though, will Suka ever return to his side before he dies of old age? If you ask me, no, I don't think they will. That will be a very heartbreaking one. Even though Sangoro and he and Chalk have themselves, who knows what will happen. Then later on, the thunder comes, absorbed by the light, the glass shatters and then sprinkles down and successfully lands on Suka's hand that is just about to be covered by grass, implying that if the grass had grown even bigger, it would not have hit her. And so she breaks out. Enough time has not passed. Enough time has not passed for her clothes to wither away, even though they're a little bit torn. And of course, she still doesn't have her views on because for some strange reason why the revival formula can cure injuries, it does not seem in the end to cure neuro things like this sort of thing. And those two guys happy that she's freed and realize she could be useful. Yeah, it takes a little while though that she realizes that she is the only one that broke up. And while she's happy, she's helpful. Soon, soon she and tracks down her old helmet, although still a little bit broken down. There's still some pieces of glass, but not enough for glasses, but only for a little bit like this, so she can see just a little bit. It's only until later on, when she finds that pieces, she begins to realize that no one else has a revival formula. She is the only one revived. And the big situation bigs in that she cannot find any more revival fluid. She is alone, alone in this new, unfamiliar land of a stone world. As she chews on something that was preserved in an old glass, the poor child begins to cry. I mean, that is only a very legitimate reaction, right? Not only is she a young child, she has been, well, not really forced, but she is entrusted with the saving of this kingdom of science. But it doesn't change for the fact that she is all alone. She is not Senku. And most of all, she is a lone child. I knew I would see this scene, and seeing this scene is just so heartbreaking to see her cry as she screams out to the people closest to her. Francois, implying that she got very close to them a long time ago. Senku for what to do, and Kohaku to give her a hug. As she collapses on the thing, she says it's so very hard to be alone in this world. But during that time, she actually remembers Senku. Although granted, he wasn't necessarily alone at that time because the Ishigami village did exist, but they didn't know about Senku, and Senku certainly didn't know about them. He thought he was the only human being in that world right now, or at least in Japan. And while this time Suka is without any doubt the only human in this world. She remembers that despite all the problems, Senku pushes on because he was alone from the very start. And mm, he never knew if anyone else would wake up. But this time it is differently. As the narration once said, unlike this time, people know they will be revived, but they just don't know how long it will take. They will know they will be revived because there is a way to revive everybody, a revival fluid. Although, again, what I've said before, I don't think Sukia memorized the recipe for that. It's a very complicated one, after all. But Suka is saying that if she can just find a little revival fluid, most certainly that someone's gotta have it. And scattered, she will find all the broken statues of her friends, or broken, half broken, and find it, no matter how long it takes. So, with a hardened resolve, the child decides to be the savior, after all. Scared and lonely she may be, she also knows that she is everyone's only hope of saving them. And she knows there is hope because Senku and the others gave it to her. They believe in her, even though they are petrified. So she will find it. So, with that, she even builds a small hut on the tower, which is pretty impressive given her age, as some monkeys, or are they orangutans, or just monkeys, I cannot really tell, actually spots it and says the exact same thing that well, the other monkeys said when they saw Senku, although granted they said it with a little bit more hostility. They don't know exactly what Suka is. So Suka says the exact same thing, although a little bit differently, of course, saying that she is Suka and she is a human being. With a wink of it all. Food, clothes, and shelter acquired. The story of Suka saving the others begins now. A very emotional chapter. Seeing Suka break down like that, I mean, who wouldn't feel a very tug in the heartstring just from that? It's a very relatable action, especially if it's someone so young. What makes this even more heartbreaking for me is that Suka is young, and there's no telling exactly how long it will take until she will get the revival formula. Does anyone even have it? I don't think anyone has it, because even if they had, Stanley would have shot that away. But is it possible that there is some in the Perseus? Nah, I think Stanley destroyed that too, even if it was. And it was also the platinum of it all. But Senku most certainly must have had some kind of backup plan. I mean, granted, Suka was his backup plan, but there's still a point Stanley's still there. So what I think is, yes, Suka will definitely depetrify everyone eventually. But I don't think she will do that yet. I think it will take some time. And we will see the little child Suka grow up to a young woman. That, if you ask me, is an even bigger heartache to see the cute little Suka, ace detective, being grown up all by herself. But the bigger thing is that Suka has always been a friend to all living beings. Is it possible that she will become friends with all these animals? I mean, I hope so, but I also seriously doubt it. So, all in all, a very emotional chapter. Heartbreaking, but emotional nonetheless. Everything is up to Suka. This will be the ultimate test of Suka being useful. And we all know she is useful. But now, yeah, what will she do? You give me a false if you have any.